Oguta. Madam, show code 17. Show code 17 for everybody to see. Run through.
Sir, total number of registered voters, 87845.
No, we didn't say you should go through all of them. We followed you. 17, code 17.
17.
This is 7, 26, 5, 4, 3, yes. So, sir, can we see your forms to see that it's correct? Do you have the same numbers there?
Yes, sir. Let's go through it.
Let's see.
You're seeing live pictures on the other side of the screen. Collation ongoing right now in Imo State. We're going to stay with them whilst back here in the studio. We'll be trying to make sense of some of the results that we have seen so far. Lagos has returned Babajide Sanwo-Olu of the All Progressives Congress. In Kwara State, Abdul Razak has been returned. That's the candidate of the APC. In southeastern state of Abia, the incumbent Okeze Ikpeazu of the People's Democratic Party has won the election there. In southwestern state of Oyo, Mr. Seyi Makinde of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has been returned. In Enugu State, the incumbent Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi of the People's Democratic Party won the governorship election excuse me, there in Enugu State. In Gombe State, Inuwa Yahaya of the All Progressives Congress, APC, has been returned, and the incumbent governor Udom Emmanuel of the People's Democratic Party has been returned in Akwa Ibom State. In a neighboring Ogun State, Mr. Dapo Abiodun of the All Progressives Congress, APC, has won the governorship election. And also in Katsina, Mr. Governor Aminu Bello Masari of the All Progressives Congress, APC, retains his seat for the next 4 years. Gentlemen, I have just reeled out results from 9 states. So it means that we're still expecting results from 20 states. It's definitely going to be a long night.
Long way
and it also appears that it's going to be a long day tomorrow. Today, yes, because it's already morning. And from what I have here, we have APC 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. APC has 5 of the 9 states that we have seen so far. And the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has Abia State, Oyo State, Enugu State, and, of course, Akwa Ibom State. The first thing, when we started the show at 11 p.m., we saw the candidate, or now the governor-elect of the All Progressives Congress in Lagos State. That's Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu. In his acceptance speech, talk about, he gave us a quick rundown of what his direction is going to be. If I can find that here, he talked about yes, he said the less privileged, he was going to be focusing on social programs, and he said he was going to focus on infrastructure as well. As Lagosians, what do you see? What do you make of that direction? Yes, let me start with the doctor.
Yes, I think it's better. Well, the first thing that struck me when I listened to that address is that Sanwo-Olu's proposed programs are not in any way different from the predecessors. And I think that revolution started from Babatunde Fashola, who created the foundation, or we can even trace it to Tinubu. Infrastructural development has been the focus of Lagos from the Tinubu era till now. And you don't need the wisdom of Solomon to know that this is all around Lagos. However, maybe what Sanwo-Olu is adding to it now is to give it what I call human face, what I call social face, because if you look at a system in which you focus only or majorly on infrastructure without looking at the cost, the social cost, human cost of these infrastructures, you may be doing every other thing but governance. And I think Sanwo-Olu is now sensitive to it, that, okay, it is good for you to develop infrastructures, but socially, you must give a touch to people's feeling in terms of not giving them infrastructure that will sap them to death. Perhaps he's trying to say welfare package will be better.
Yeah.
Perhaps he's trying to say that even where we have to destroy this and destroy it because we want to give infrastructure, we will make alternative arrangement for the people. These are the things I read in what he says. But then, politicians.
Yes, you know that the government at the center, of which Lagos State Administration is a microcosm of, played big with social intervention programs. We saw that with the market money, the trader money, and all of those intervention programs. And it appeared that it worked, even though those programs went to the school of hard knocks from the people. Yes, because there were trust issues, political trust issues with those kind of programs, according to the people. Do you think Lagos State is learning from the government at the center, or what do you think we're seeing here?
I don't see any connection between what Lagos State is doing and what the center is doing. If you look at the body language of the president for the past 4 years, emphasis has been on fighting corruption. I have never heard any governor of Lagos State talk about fighting corruption. States can fight corruption the way federal can fight corruption. So that is one way. The second way is that agricultural revolution has been part of the dream. I call it dream because not fully manifested yet of the federal government. I've also not heard that from Lagos. Lagos has focused more on developing infrastructure.
That the people elected me as the governor to lead them for the next 4 years. I vow to you, dear Lagosians, that my eye and my mind are too focused on the future, too fixed to where we must go, that I will not give a second thought to where we're coming from. Lagos is so densely populated that we're all each other's neighbors and we should be each other's brother. With this spirit guiding us, our challenges do not daunt us. This inspires us towards greatness in three areas. First, our administration shall advance and build on the tradition of construction, the modern infrastructure needed to improve living conditions and encourage greater business and investment by lowering the cost and increasing productivity. Secondly, we'll try to enhance a social service to make sure that basic needs of the modest and the poor are met, and that Lagosians shall not be deprived of any human care or human dignity. 3, we will develop specific and concrete plans to establish the types of businesses and investment in Lagos that will provide sustainable growth and job opportunities for the 21st century economy that we see in Lagos. We must provide jobs and economic opportunity for the vast industries and the population. By doing so, we shall function as a catalyst for growth, not only in Nigeria, not only in West Africa, but in the entire African continent. Lagos will stand as the economic capital of the entire black race.
Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, the governor-elect of Lagos State. A quick rundown of what he just said in that acceptance speech. Fast track of infrastructural development, increased productivity and job creation, social investment programs, specific plans for sustainable growth, and government at the center in Lagos will be a catalyst for development. Do you think this is holistic enough, or is there anything you think he's leaving behind in that speech?
Well, this is acceptance speech. It should not be taken for policy speech.
Policy documents, yes.
What you have here, if you do a critical analysis, is just a spontaneous and temporary expression of acceptance from the people, and a general overview of what the policies may reflect. You don't have concrete in this. I mean, we will do this, we will do that. It's appropriate for this moment, but there are no very concrete issues that can be brought out from this as at now, and that on its own is not bad.
Still sounds like a campaign.
It does sound like that. It's just that you cannot campaign after the election has been won.
Yeah.
But it's an expression of joy and happiness, and an overview of what the policies are likely to look like. Likely.
All right. So being a Lagosian, and I want Mr. I want you to come in now, even though you might say you're a person of numbers, and but you're a Lagosian.
Well,
so
who is a Lagosian?
the Lagos that you have experienced in the last 4 years, what would you like to see changed?
Okay, well, I don't live in Lagos, but at least I have been coming here a bit. I think infrastructure, which was mentioned, and he said border infrastructure, I still think is so critical for Lagos. I still think that Lagos has too many cars, you understand, for the roads.
Too many cars?
Yes, for the roads. We are using, it's still the only means of real transport in Lagos that can get 80 to 90% of people from one place to another. And that is not sustainable for a mega city. Right? A mega city cannot be built on cars as the primary means of transport. There's no mega city that I know that is built purely on cars. If it's New York, if it's London, Tokyo, you must have a mass transit system. So we have the buses, yes, but the buses are good, but they are not sufficient, both in number and, you know, it has to work with something else. I don't know if it's an impossible thing or it's outrageous, I don't know, but I think there must be some form of internal rail system. I think we have to think about it because the population is only going to get bigger. I mean, we hear of figures like 200 or 300 million by 2050. I've forgotten, but something that I don't even want to think about. You know, the figures I heard that by 2050 we'll have populations that, I think a population will be excess of the US population by 2050, the way it's going, you know. And Lagos has a huge chunk of this, probably the largest chunk of this, and the land is not increasing. Yeah, so you just can't keep putting cars. You know, it will get to a point where it's just not sustainable anymore. So there has to be a long-term development plan for infrastructure, mass transit infrastructure beyond the buses. And I think a rail network, intracity rail network, it's difficult when you run a 4-year election cycle, and these are projects that may take 10 years. You know, even if you have all the money and all the engineers and all the architects, it might take you more than that. So it's difficult to push it in this kind of society. But I think if they can collaborate with the federal government and get sustainable funding, PPP, and even foreign funding as well, and mix it all together and have something that is beyond an administration so that whoever comes in cannot change it, then I think that that is a long-term solution for Lagos. But I think one thing he didn't mention that I think is critical is education, right? I think in all he said is good, which are the jobs, the infrastructure, the basic needs of the people, but the foundation of the society is the education. And this is where we are lacking. Yes, Lagos may be more educated than most parts of Nigeria, but we still need to deal with education. I mean, I give you a typical example of what I witnessed yesterday at VGC when I was observing the election. And I saw people eating roasted chicken and having drinks, champagne, and all of this. These guys were of all tribes, all religions, and all political interests. You would see somebody saying, don't mind this your candidate, what can he do? You say, okay, we'll see now. And they will laugh over it. Different candidates. Now, when you go to the lower segment of society, that's where people are using knives, bottles, getting so angry with this same differential of opinion, So the question is, what's the fundamental difference between the guys in the VGC that were laughing and eating roasted chicken, and then the guys that are in some other place that somebody gets stabbed and injured? Apart from education and wealth, what else is the difference? Because in both places you have Muslim and Christian, you have North and South. It's just basically the wealth and the economic level and the education. So it's clear to me that education is the beginning. If we don't address it, even if you give people money and they're not educated, it's also even a bigger problem. Because an ignorant man with a lot of money is a very big problem. So I think that education has to come in, sustainable education and compulsory education, especially up to primary 6. Even if you don't go beyond that, you should be able to read and write and comprehend. I think it's important. I think Lagos, even to build the knowledge economy, because if Lagos is pioneering civic hubs and IT labs and all of that, Lagos is trying to pioneer the digital aspect of Nigeria's economy. And you cannot feed that on an uneducated public. You have to build the public, encourage and empower them with education, with the next level. No, that's not the right word for me to use. New level technology, so that I don't get. You understand?
Yeah, I
so
understand.
new level technology.
That's actually winding down.
Yes. So you get what I mean. So I just want to say, so the new level technology and all that. So if we don't invest critically in that, I mean, are we even preparing for that as a city? And think about it, with also the congestion and all of that, apart from the infrastructure, think about the fact that Lagos in 5-10 years has to become automated. So for example, what makes you to leave your house and go out on the streets? The government and the private sector have to collaborate to ensure that there's a way to cut this down significantly. So for example, if it's shopping that takes you out, how can we ensure that we're able to cut it down to a point where if you're going shopping, you're going purely for recreation. But if you need something, you really don't need to go shopping anymore. If it's for anything, artificial intelligence, how can we begin to optimize processes? So in my opinion, I think that in looking at the Lagos of the future, we need to critically think about all these factors. If not, and they feed into the quality of life of the people. So if these issues are not in
this idea of me having to go and be reading, I don't understand
strategy,
what's going on.
Then what you're doing is you're building
honestly
a Lagos based on the needs of yesterday. But you have to build a Lagos based on the needs of the future, right? And all these things are still going to come together to ensure that you achieve your development goals. So for me, this is where I think Lagos has to look towards. So I think.
All right, thank you very much. You touched on something very important, and that's education, especially for a place like Lagos. Dr. Isola is still with us. We'll take a break now. We'll be talking more about education, which he touched on, which is your own constituency. But we need to go to our new studio right now. Ayo will be in the news studio at 2 a.m. to bring us the news on top of the hour.